Good morning, everyone. How are you going? David here from the Back Pain Centre. Hope you're well. Hope you had a good weekend. Today, I want to talk about an element of stability. And you know, we value with the highest priority this concept of stability. And I use a whiteboard a lot. I find it very helpful when I'm talking and explaining things to patients, because they can sort of visually see what you're trying to explain, and also listening to you. It's a very good tool for cementing concepts in patients who may not have much understanding about anatomy or physiology. And so this is an education tool and a way that I describe some elements about stability, which are critically important. So hopefully you can take home something valuable out of this, and it'll help you in your clinical practice of looking after people with back pain. Now, stability, of course, why is it so important? How do we define that? Well, I just say that it is the ability to resist injurious forces. Okay, so injurious forces. So it's the system's ability to resist injurious forces. Think about it. If you're riding a bicycle, okay, little Johnny on his bicycle for the first time, and it's his first time riding. Okay, he's going ballistic here on the bike, and he's all over the place. He's got a strong chance of being unstable, falling off, hurting himself. So injurious forces, unstable system, fall over. Let's think about someone walking on a tightrope or a slack line, little balancing beam there. And are they stable or are they unstable? If they're stable, they're going to resist the injurious forces that would otherwise hurt them. And then also bringing in our LC bones, the lumbar spine. You know, look at the position of this lumbar spine. Large centre of mass, a lumbar spine system that's supporting these two centre of masses. It's actually inherently unstable. Okay, the lumbar spine is inherently unstable. So, despite what a lot of people say, the lumbar spine is inherently unstable, and these are the motion segments and that make up the spine, and stability of these motion segments is absolutely critical. So, you know, if you line up building, you know, Lego blocks on top of each other in a wonky way, they're going to fall over. And in our lumbar spine, what is it that keeps these vertebral bodies and motion segments stable? And we've talked about that ad nauseum. And I'm sure if you've been listening to some of our stuff in regards to movement theory, you'll have a good understanding now. And there's three factors, okay? Hopefully you all know these back to front. There's the active factors, the passive factors, and the neural control factors. It's just indisputable. And it's been described a long time ago. Okay, I'm going to spend time today talking about this component, all right? And of course, this is the contractile elements, okay? Contractile elements, i.e. muscles. Everyone's interested in muscles, okay? Passive factors, of course, non-contractile. And just think about all of the soft tissue structures around the spinal motion segments. They make up the passive factors. And then neural control, it's very, very, if not the most important factor, it's the neural control of these active factors, okay? So let's really just focus on the contractile passive elements, okay? That's what this video is going to be about. So, sliding it down. How do we explain the active stability subunit? Okay, that's what we're talking about. Subunit. In a really easy way that every single patient can understand. Let's just list off the broad concepts that make up the active factors, and we're going to call them general stabilizers, and then we're going to have mobilizers. Okay, these are all muscles, mobilizers, and then we're going to have intersegmental stabilizers. Okay, super important, and I'll explain why with this this analogy or this tool that you can use with your patients. General stabilizers. I'm going to list off a couple: diaphragm muscle, pelvic floor, abdominal muscles. Abdominals, okay, TA, all the obliques, and they're what we could refer to as our general stabilizers. There's really only one intersegmental stabilizer, okay, that's the deep multifidus or the multifidus group. I'm just going to call that MFD. MFD for multifidus. I hate writing out that word, multifidus. And really, there's the superficial and deep component of that. Mobilizers, we can put these down to things like the more superficial erector spinae group, the erector spinae group, so the longissimus, the iliocostalis, okay, and then you can say the psoas, the big flexor. All right, so they're some of our major muscle groups, okay. Now, I've created this subheading here between general stabilizer and intersegmental stabilizer for a very specific reason, and this is what it boils down to. Where's my pen here? So, this is how I explain it to patients. Think about a crane structure that looks like this. Okay, think about a crane structure. It's got a big wrecking ball on the end. And here we've got a piston, so to speak, that's supporting it. And then here we've got sort of like a big cogs. Okay, the big engine. Boom. Not a very good drawer, sorry. But you get the message. So there's our engine. Okay, and of course these spans of steel, they're made up of segments. Okay. And if you think about it, the most important thing that determines the stability of such a structure is going to be these sort of cross-bracing intersegmental stabilizers. Okay, because if I removed the piston here, and this would be what would be the general stabilizer, okay, because it supports a whole number of segments. It's just a general stabilizer. Okay, so that's this group here. general stabilizer. And then these represent your mobilizers. Okay, they contribute almost nothing to stability, and these cross bracings represent your intersegmental stabilizers. Okay, so that's absolutely critical. Without that intersegmental stability, the whole system completely falls apart. It is absolutely useless. If I took away the motor, the structure would still be standing, but it just wouldn't be able to do very much. Okay, it just wouldn't have a lot of capacity, but it would still be fine. If I took away the general stabilizer, likewise, the structure would still stand, but it may not be as robust. Okay, if I took away the intersegmental stability of the system, the whole thing just falls apart. Okay, there's nothing that provides that stability for the other things to then allow the system to have some usefulness or some capacity. And the other useful thing about this analogy, other than it's really demonstrating those three components really well, in my view anyway, and I found it useful in practice, is that it also shows you what you can maintain, actively maintain. If I go to a physical therapist and I do a lot of exercise and training, I can enhance my mobilizers, okay? I can enhance my mobilizers, and I can enhance my general stabilizers, okay? So I can do lots of exercises that make my mobilizers healthier, and I can do lots of exercises that make my general stabilizers healthier. And going back to the analogy, you know, you can go get better cogs or better cog ratio, or put more power into the engine. You can grease the piston. You can have better hydraulics. Okay, but when it actually comes to these intersegmental bracing, you don't really do much. You're not doing anything to those intersegmental braces to enhance them. They're just there. And obviously, you know, setting aside them rusting and corroding, but you don't really do much to enhance them. They're just there. And likewise, in the human lumbar spine, we don't really do anything to enhance these deep stabilizers, these deep multifidus stabilizers that live deep in here, and they're like cross bracing, little finger muscles that just run up the back of the spine. They're little finger muscles. Look them up on the internet. They look like little fingers that grip onto the spine, and when they contract, they don't even cause any movement at all. They just stabilize. And they can only be maintained in a healthy manner with default movement proficiency. Okay, you can't really do much to make them better other than to understand movement proficiency. Okay, other than to maintain movement proficiency. That is the only thing that keeps these intersegmental stabilizers. You can't really strengthen them per se. So no matter how many times you go to the gym or work out or see a physical therapist, there's nothing other than movement proficiency that can make those autonomously contract. Just like you can't strengthen the sphincter pupillae of your eyeball that opens and closes the diaphragm of your eyeball muscle, or sphincters of your esophagus, or sphincters in your bowel. They just are healthy by proper use. Okay, so those muscles, you can't strengthen them up. They are autonomous and part of the autonomic system almost, and so proper use keeps them healthy, and proper use of movement keeps the intersegmental stabilizers healthy. All right, does that make sense? It's a critical thing, and that's common. That's often why many rehabilitation methods fail, is because they don't really focus on movement proficiency as the underlying mechanism by which the most important muscle retains its function and health. So movement proficiency, technique matters. All right, hope that's of some use to you. Use it in your day-to-day clinical work, and let me know how people respond to it. Okay, all the best. Take care. See you next time.